Welcome back to Breaking Bitcoin, recorded live, broadcasting live from the underground bunker. Today is Thursday, April 2nd, 2020, foul year of our Lord. Hopefully you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Let me make sure the chat is working okay. Hopefully you guys are doing awesome tonight. We've got a fantastic show for you guys. So much to talk about. We're going to be talking about traditional markets, the halvening, everything coming up. Big shout out to everybody watching from YouTube, DLive, Twitch. Did I say YouTube? And live on Roku. I think I forgot some people. It's a heck of a day. Sorry for the 2-day break, guys. Needed to decompress. All right, and now we're back. Here we are. Make sure to follow us on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all the stuffs. We post exclusive content on Instagram and Twitter that you guys won't see anywhere else. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon, or YouTube will not tell you when we're going live. That's just how things work. Let's get right into the charts. We've got so much to talk about today. Let me make sure that everything is set up correctly here. All right, and here we go. All right, here we are. Big shout out, by the way, to all the competitors in the Bybit Brawl. Let's check those competition details out here real quick. Roy Coin in first place with 14.29%. Competition's only been live for 2 days, so great job there. Mr. Furry Boffin up over 10%. Mr. Hut QC up close to 10%. Crypto Moses, Crypto Sophie, Payday, Nimic for Life. Everybody doing quite well. I am sitting in a humble 11th spot, but I'm happy with that slow, consistent gains. My aim for the competition is 3 to 4%. That's what I do like to call per month. All right. In one particular market. All right, let's move on, guys. We've got a lot to talk about today. All right, guys. I see. Thanks, BK. York, the pie guy. Let's see here. NB, Dayan, Nigao. Good to see you guys. Good to see you guys. All right, so much to talk about. So let's get to talking about it. All right, let's zoom out. Obviously, we had a fantastic move from Bitcoin today, pushing us up almost to the 7,500, 72. 73 was the high. Over on Bybit Ethereum, we ended up reaching a high of 150.50, almost 19 cents on XRP, and peaking over 250 on EOS. Now, of course, that was sold into, leaving the bias, it would seem. What's funny is this, right? I'm seeing this strong bearish bias, right? This strong bearish bias, like we're going to 4K, we're going to 2K. And while that certainly is a possibility, sorry, I gotta take a sip of my medicinal tea here. All right. Now, while that certainly is a possibility, I don't see the same strength that other people are calling for. I think that Alex will be going over senior analyst Alexander's price predictions here in a little bit. And he has a very good analysis of this being a Wyckoff accumulation area. So make sure that you guys check that out. If you're premium members, to check out the market analysis that was posted tonight. I have his market meditations in there in the PDF. But overall, very interesting area. So let's break that down. First thing we're going to go to Bitcoin, and let's actually hop to the Bitstamp chart for our long-term analysis. All right, so we listen, we established this range. We talked about this range earlier. This is based on VPVR. And we are trading in that kind of consolidation range. So is a range here possible, right? I do want to talk about that. Yes, a range here is absolutely possible, right? We know we have the lower boundary of the range around 59.20. Could we even possibly see price back in the lower fives? Yes, absolutely we could. Does that mean on a larger macro scale that price isn't bullish? No, I don't think so. I think that overall we're in a buying area. Now, in the realm of trading, of course, we trade with systems, so our systems will tell us exactly when to be long and exactly when to be short. But just speculating as to the overall structure of price, again, I've said this before and I've said it again, right? So many people talked about backing the truck up at these prices, and I haven't seen a lot of people actually follow through on that behavior. That's fine. Again, if Bitcoin is going to decouple from traditional markets, it's going to happen roughly right about now. We have the halvening coming up. The halvening it's close enough that we should be putting it on the chart, right? Right here. May 13th is the current estimated halvening date based on BitcoinBlockHalf.com. Right here, 40 days, 15 hours, 3 minutes and 43 seconds. And again, looking at Google Trends searches on the term Bitcoin halvening has been growing exponentially. Again, indicating a bias. And I got this from Ansel over at Bitcoin and Markets, that the halvening drives its own hype cycle. Like the hype cycle on Bitcoin's halving is independent of the hype cycle surrounding Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin has its own hype cycle, and most of you guys watching will be familiar with that in the terms of the Wall Street cheat sheet, right? The Wall Street psychological cheat sheet, right? Of despair and anguish and greed and what's the top one, right? Something like that, right? But that is basically the hype cycle. That is the psychological hype cycle of any asset, right? You can see it with stocks. Anybody who's seeing any kind of any asset go through the cycle, you'll see that as well. It's not something that's unique to Bitcoin. It's not something that's unique to Bitcoin. But the halving drives its own hype cycle and cannot be easily priced in. And again, I did. Moving on. All right. So, anyways, so let's go to the monthly. Start off on the monthly. So overall, I think that market structure is bullish. Looking down at the monthly, we held the critical 55 monthly exponential moving average that we talked about. We are running into monthly resistance in the form of the monthly 21 exponential moving average. That's an area that many people are going to be looking at. Is price overall above the 21 exponential moving average? Then it's bullish and should be looking to accumulate. And of course, we are below weekly and monthly baselines, of course, above the daily baseline. So we are trading to the upside. We are in a long today. We nailed that wick today with our trade. We went long yesterday at yesterday's daily close, and we're able to take advantage of that movement to the upside today. But overall, on weekly and monthly levels, trending moving averages, we are still below them, right? Not in, the overall depths of despair. Like if price is below the 55 monthly exponential moving average, that's really back the truck up time. We're certainly quite close, right? We're certainly quite close. So I would say that overall market structure is bullish on the lower end of the kind of bullish spectrum, right? In the lower end of the bullish spectrum. Meaning that there is still some time for us to accumulate. I don't actually see a straight V bottom out of here. I do see accumulation. That's usually what follows after a long pronounced sell-off, which means that we should be comfortable should price dip lower following this. But it also means that we want to be prepared should price go to the upside, i.e. what that means is that if you're a long-term investor, yes, we are in the upper range of what I would consider the long-term hodling buy zone, right? Not the lower range, the upper range of that area, right? The lower range would be the 4,000s, 3,000s, et cetera, right? Any place below the 200 simple moving average on the weekly or below the 55 exponential moving average on the monthly are going to be those back the truck up areas, right? And this is generally true of just about any asset. So we are between the 21 EMA on the monthly and between the 55 exponential moving average, putting us in kind of neutral territory overall on the monthly. On the weekly time frame, again, same thing. We held that critical level, the 200 simple moving average, the 200 weekly simple moving average. Again, a lot of people talked about moving it down to the 300, moving it down to the 400. They were wrong. The 200, again, we did close below it. Yes, we did. But we also know why we closed below it. We know why we wicked below it so far. It wasn't natural market dynamics. It was BitMEX. It was the BitMEX liquidation engine. If we look at where CME went to, this is my hypothesis, right? This is my claim. This is my thesis, right? This is the CME chart, right? This is the CME markets, right? If we look at that weekly candle, it only experienced a low of 42.10, right? 42.10. Let's go to the spot price. Let's go to that weekly candle. A low of 38.50, right? So a $400 difference in spot price that is linked to, in some way, the BitMEX XBT USD perpetual contract, but the actual CME chart did not descend that low. There's a good reason for that. There's a good reason for that. All right, so back to spot price. Holding 200 simple moving average, coming up to resistance at the 100 simple moving average. And again, the only thing that does concern me, again, I've talked about this before, is the 1355 exponential moving average cross under, right? I've rarely seen that. I've actually never seen it in Bitcoin be out traded. Now, I've never seen quite, I'm not going to lie, I've never seen quite a massive bounce back to test the area following the cross under. It's not generally that you have such a massive 50%, 33% on this particular open to close, but significantly more, almost 15% from peak to trough. 53% from peak to trough here. Sell-off that actually generates that 1355 weekly moving average cross under. But again, what does that typically tell you? What does that typically tell you? It typically tells you that you are in the last half of a bearish cycle, right? Not the first half. This would tell us that we, overall, this was the first half, that we are in the last half of the bearish cycle. So let's say that we kind of have our idea wrong, that this is not actually the local bottom, that we do actually end up bottoming closer to 3,000, below the 200 weekly simple moving average, below the monthly 55 exponential moving average. Let's say we even come down here and test the newly formed 100 simple moving average on the monthly time frame, right? Which would put us down to around 29.23. Again, as I said, any areas below the monthly 55, any areas below the weekly 200 are, from a long-term perspective, back the truck up areas, right? Areas to buy, clear areas to buy, right? And I'm not going to sit here and delude anybody into thinking that when Bitcoin's price isn't cheap, it's not profitable to pick some up for the long term. Again, I initially invested in Bitcoin in 2016, right? So again, buying low is as an investor is always a good thing. Not the best way to trade, in my opinion, because trading reversals is fraught with peril. That's why there's a difference between trading and investing. But when we're talking about generally attractive areas to buy Bitcoin, there you have it. Then that 1355, if that is the case, then that 1355 exponential moving average cross under would be quite germane. And so far, it's never been wrong in Bitcoin's history. I'll let you know when you are in the last half of a bearish cycle, and generally gives you trade directional bias, right? The daily will be putting us in that. The daily will be putting us in that area anyway. So again, what does that mean, right? Long-term fundamental investors, right? If you are concerned about price going down at these relatively high prices off the bounce back, again, we're up over 30-40% from the lows here. Good area to look at potential hedging, right? Good area to look at long-term hedges if you have long-term holds that you are concerned about. Now, on the daily time frame, the daily time frame is starting to look attractive, right? We've got our major moving averages going sideways, starting to curl up. We might get some potential crossovers here of our 8, our 13, our 21. Those might begin crossing up. We did almost reach the 55, bounced off of it a little bit as resistance. Let's go to the weekly here and look at overall VPVR trend. Significant support and resistance. All right. We always start here. All right. Yep. And again, we are trading in this high volume node right here. And currently, what we are battling with is this previous order block, right? This previous order block right here. Okay. That is the area that we actually rejected from today. It's the area we rejected from a few times before. We traded slightly above that today. But again, this is the rejection area. Again, 74.12 is kind of the top of that order block area. And then we really get up into an area that I think is quite hard to fall from. We did end up bouncing off the lowest area of accumulation down in the upper 3,000s and just kind of blasted right through, consolidated briefly around the $5,000 area. You can see this on 2 weekly candles. We closed, consolidated here for a week, and then kept pushing up from there. All right. So overall, again, I think that from the weekly perspective, from the overall VPVR perspective, price looks good. We are not in back the truck up area. Again, clearly that is anywhere below the weekly 200 simple moving average, weekly 55 exponential moving average. Those are going to be areas down here in the lowest area of accumulation. And we are just moving up from this area of accumulation. And now we're going to see if this is acting as an area of accumulation. Overall, what I think this overall area will be, it is an area of actual accumulation where price ends up going sideways. That is ideally what I would like to see moving forward. All right, daily time frame. All right, we talked about market structure, order blocks, and VPVRs. We talked about important MAs. Let's look at the PTP system, my PTP system anyways, and we'll get a glimpse of overall what price is doing here and what direction thou should be trading. All right, above the baseline and above the initiator here, so biased to the upside. If we just take a look at the daily baseline, we are clearly above the daily baseline. I've been above the daily baseline since the 23rd of March. And again, we've had some false starts here. No real great fully confirmed trade signals for the most part. Again, the first time that we ended up going at risk long, of course, I've been spot long since over here, but the first time that we actually ended up going at risk leveraged long was right here. And again, hitting take profit one on on the daily candle that just closed, so today. To the upside, stop loss is at break even. So we'll let that ride. We are getting off today's candle, our first rising explosion level powerful signal from Wadatar explosion. We'll see how tomorrow gives us any follow through. So far, we haven't seen a whole lot of volatility today, except for, kind of a sell off, but again, still closing above. Parallax has flipped to the upside. That occurred yesterday. Average true range has fallen quite low, so volatility is kind of dying down to the downside here. We're not getting any sort of exit signal. The areas to hold currently right now, let's get the baseline off of here. The areas to hold right now are going to be 64.14. Any daily close below 64.14 is going to be invalidating long trades to the upside. And any close below 5,000 is going to be putting us into at-risk shorts at this current point in time. Again, that level will get closer to price as we go there, Minx, even the smooth Minx, I have smooth Minx on the chart, is crossing above the zero line and moving into bullish territory, indicating that we're not really in a sell zone at all. Again, generally sell zones on Minx are going to be closer to overbought territories, and buy zones on Minx are going to be closer to oversold territories. Quite simple. So we are not nearly there. We are kind of in the medium zone, right in the middle right here. Right. And that is good for us as trend following traders looking for looking for price to move to the upside, looking for that bullish switch from trending to the downside to flipping upside to be trending long. Okay, let's see here. Taking a look at Ethereum USD, we're looking at the perpetual contract, the perpetual future on Bybit. We are above the baseline, so biased to the upside. I am also in an at-risk long on Ethereum USD as well. Again, overall, looking at where we're at, very similar to Bitcoin. Minx has crossed and is trending to the upside. We have not, again, we're not in an overall sell zone. We're not in an overall buy zone for long-term swings for Ethereum. We're right in the middle, which is good for looking for trend following trades and looking for that flip. Same thing, the first bullish push, the first rising explosion level signal from Wadatar explosion, Parallax has flipped to bullish. So we did end up taking at-risk longs on yesterday's candle as well, yesterday's daily candle close. So not the candle that just closed, but the prior day. So Wednesday evening, Central Standard Time, I went long on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and BNB actually. And those are all going quite well. So same thing for Ethereum. We've had a good positive close today. Similar kind of sell-off, not as pronounced of a sell-off, but also not as pronounced as a pump on Ethereum as well. I'll say that. Less volatility, which again, sometimes that scale shifts back and forth, right? It just depends. So the level to hold for Ethereum is 141.70. Closing below that level on the daily is going to be invalidating longs, and any close below 96.48 is going to be flipping us into at-risk shorts. Minx is bullish, Parallax is bullish, Wadatar explosion is bullish as well. So is breaking Bitcoin. All right, XRP USD on the daily. Now, above the baseline, but biased to the upside, but I am flat on XRP USD. Why? Because we're below the continuation filter, right? Some very subtle differences, right? I don't just start stacking risk to the upside. I trade each chart independently. I don't do cross-referencing. I do, but very rarely. So, if Forex Meister dropped those 500 bits just now, thank you so much, brother. And HRX111, thank you so much for the follow over there on Twitch. So the level to hold, the level that we need to close above for XRP, we need to close above 1810 on the daily time frame. That would be sending us into continuation longs on XRP. We are bullish as long as we are above 1382. Above 1382, we are still bullish. So just overall, with the volatility of price, and here's the thing, right? The volatility of price, I was talking to a friend earlier today. And he was asking me like, well, how low can Bitcoin go? And I was like, look, man, Bitcoin is in a buy zone, but it could go down another 50%, right? And he looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, look, man, you don't understand. When Bitcoin is below 10,000, right? This is something that people, kind of forget, right? When Bitcoin's price is below 10,000, it is not unnatural to see, 5 to 10% swings intra-week, sometimes intraday, right? When Bitcoin's price is above 9 to 10,000, it's more like 5% in a day is a massive candle, right? I just think back to earlier last year, right? And you guys saw it all. If anybody paid attention in 2019, when we were in the lows, you would see these daily price swings of 5, 7, 9, 12%. And when Bitcoin was below 6,000, below 9,000, and the farther up you get, the less pronounced the price swings become because the price is bigger, right? It takes more capital to push price around. It doesn't take as much capital to push price around right now. All right. On XRP though, Wadatar Explosion is bullish, Minx is bullish, Parallax is bullish. So a lot of individuals not using a continuation system, which is a chart overlay indicator, as I've talked about before. I do have a chart overlay indicator now for continuation and initiation. And that is the difference between my current system and then, for example, a system that uses Minx as an initiator or Parallax as an initiator or Wadatar Explosion. There's nothing wrong with those systems. I think those are fantastic systems. I still run those systems. I have multiple strategies running simultaneously, but I do also like this one. It took me a while to build it, and I quite like it. It's quite unique. I'm having about the same success that I had with the Minx system, and it's just a little clearer for me to be able to explain and talk about important levels, right? It's good. All right, so all right, so on EOS USD on the daily, similar situation with XRP, right? Overall bullish, but not quite there yet for me. As you can see, we're above the baseline, so we are biased to trade to the upside here. Trying to take a look at these lemons, guys. Sorry. See you guys talking big. Val Cornex, thank you so much for the lemon. Robin from the Hood, thank you so much for the lemons, my friend. All right. Oh, yeah. So EOS on the daily, just not quite there yet, right with XRP. Again, Wadatar Explosion is good. Minx is good. Parallax is good. I'm not going to bash anybody if they have a long on XRP or EOS, right? They're valid. They're okay. They're good. But for my personal system, I'm going to be about a day behind. Now let's look at the CME futures, and we'll talk about two possible narratives here for Bitcoin, right? Below us, I have the two buy zones, 54.15, 49.65, and 40.70 to 33.55, right? Again, let me be very clear about what that means. That doesn't mean that if Bitcoin's price is not there, you shouldn't buy. And I'm talking in the term of long-term investment here. What I consider to be attractive prices long-term for Bitcoin, those are support areas. Those are important VPVR nodes. And personally, I think I would be a fool to not purchase at those areas, right? Again, I told you guys live, it was literally right when it was happening. When Bitcoin's price was trading down below in the depths of the insanity, right? When people wanted to throw themselves off of bridges if they were actively watching their portfolio, right at the bottom of this wick, when price was in the 3,000s, when price had a 3 at the beginning of it, right? When literally just a week ago, it had a 9 in front of it, okay? Again, I was on the phone with my senior analysts, and Alex was like, he was traveling and he was jumping onto Coinbase to buy spot Bitcoin. We have the halvening coming up. Halvening is right here, 13th of May. Daily time frame. We have filled the current gap on the CME. Current gap to fill was right here. So that gap has been filled. Now, what gap remains? This gap right above us, from 82.80 to 90.60. What will happen first? Will we tag a buy zone, or will we fill that gap? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Just remember, guys, the Bitcoin halvening drives its own hype cycle. Big shout out to Ansel Linder for giving me the right words for that. Now, as far as the CME futures go, looking at the Pathways to Profit system, or at least the Breaking Bitcoin PTP system on the daily on the CME futures, we just turned bullish today, right? We just turned bullish today, which is very interesting. Parallax is still bearish, but Minx is bullish. Wadatar Explosion is bullish as well. And by the way, I'll show this, I'll show this off here in just a little bit. I got a new indicator that I'm going to go ahead and show you guys here in just a second. Ethereum Bitcoin. Ethereum Bitcoin on the daily is interesting. Again, I don't necessarily think that the alt BTC pairings are currently, I wouldn't say necessarily bullish. It is at quite a low price. I think that Bitcoin clearly has more. I mean, there is a good, listen, there's a good argument that Ethereum has, an equal amount of hype surrounding it as well, or a strong amount of hype in the fact that they have Ethereum 2.0 coming up, like literally right around the corner. But the halvening is closer, right? The halvening is closer, and Bitcoin is more popular than Ethereum, right? You are deluding yourself if you think that Ethereum is more popular than Bitcoin, that more people know about Ethereum than they know about Bitcoin. More people know about Bitcoin. Most regular people do not know about Ethereum. They don't. So, but everybody knows about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's halvening, I think, certainly drives its certainly drives its own hype cycle, and it's gonna be very hard for me to believe that Ethereum is gonna outperform Bitcoin over the next couple of months. We'll see. Is it possible? We'll see. I don't think so, but it certainly is possible, right? Now, interestingly enough, Ethereum Bitcoin on the daily hasn't yet. The daily just opened. But if the daily closes like it is, interestingly enough, there will be a long trade on the table for Ethereum Bitcoin, right? We have gone down far enough, right? We have crossed and closed above the baseline. That happened yesterday. And if we close like we are today, we will actually have the ability to take a long signal on Ethereum Bitcoin. Let's see what happens. What's the rest of our indicator saying? Not quite there yet. We had a couple opportunities using Minx as a reversal indicator, a couple of long signals, DCA to send down around here. And we would be needing to return to around not 23 to break even on those, and then kind of looking for not 247. Again, should we get this long signal, if this should confirm, maybe I could see price going there, but I think we'll just be keeping pace with Bitcoin at that point in time. But hey, I guess my overall point here is that I think you'll make more money longing Bitcoin than longing Ethereum Bitcoin, but hey, at the end of the day, make your own decision. Rising tide lifts all boats. But the rest of our confirmation indicators are saying no. So we're really not quite there yet. So it's probably going to be a while before we're looking to go long on Ethereum Bitcoin anyways, even for trading. XRP Bitcoin is no different. Look, XRP Bitcoin has been pretty volatile, choppy chop. We are above the baseline, but closing in channel, so no trade zone. We are above the initiator, so we actually are looking for reasons to go long. We are looking for reasons to go long, but there's no confirmation right now. Let's see what price looks like if we close above 2727 sats, 2,727 sats. That's going to be the continuation filter. Maybe we can get some long pressure out of that to come and sweep these highs again back up 2892. But currently, there's nothing on the table, and I wouldn't say that XRP BTC is in a buy zone. Listen, anybody who's ever told you that XRP BTC was in a buy zone, I don't know. I don't know. Now listen. Now, I will certainly, listen. If this is just a huge accumulation area for XRP, and XRP does this, which, listen, it certainly could. Maybe I should be less negative about XRP. It's probably why it's probably hurting my viewer count. Maybe if I came out here and was just like, listen, XRP is in an accumulation area. It's another digital asset. It's popular like Bitcoin. It's probably going to pump. I think it'd be more popular. But I'm not here to be popular. I'm here to make money. All right, EOS Bitcoin, similarly. Again, tightening, descending wedge right here. Kind of looking for a break to the upside. We don't have any of that confirmation yet. Now we are, again, we are tentatively bullish. We broke above the initiation level, which is the confirmation. Listen, so when most people are trying to trade, like, you can clearly look at this and see the tightening of the range, right? That's a descending wedge, right? Whatever. There's a lot of different words for it. Falling wedge, descending wedge, falling triangle. I've heard all kinds of different words for it, right? Generally, I like descending wedge. I think more popular nowadays is called falling wedge, right? All these names for chart patterns have gone through so many different cycles. So 200 new subscribers the last 30 seconds. Breaking. Justin Wise endorses XRP, says Will Moon. Next thing you know, Craig Wright is going to be asking me to have him on a show. All right, EOS BTC, again, similar to Ethereum Bitcoin, breaking above the baseline here. Now, we do need to close above 3,489 sats. Similarly for, 34,890 sats for EOS to give us a long signal. So let's just keep our eyes on it. Again, none of our confirmers are bullish at this point in time, so we don't have any confirmation, but we are in an interesting area, right? And again, this would be very similar, right? A rising tide lifts all boats. And generally, Bitcoin is the tide that lifts all boats. So don't despair. If you're sitting on your altcoin bags, don't despair. Bitcoin rises tides. All right, with that being said, moving on. We got a few more markets to go over. Let's take a look and see what the... taking a look at the E-minis, the SPY, which has been a pretty good leading indicator for Bitcoin's price. Again, but not so far, right? Listen, Bitcoin really detached today, right? Look at what the SPY did over the last couple of days, and really the S&P not doing that. Not doing that. I mean, Bitcoin holding its value fairly well, especially over the last few days of March, moving into April. You know, you can see that the SPY is struggling to come back from a recent top over here, whereas Bitcoin, on the other hand, is breaking at the highs, like is at yearly highs. So, not yearly highs, but you get my point, right? So, very, very interesting decoupling. And I'm not going to lie, SPY looking weak moving into the evening hours. We'll see what the market close looks like. Let's see here. 2nd of April. Where did we end up closing the day today on the SPY? Right here. So, I mean, if we continue like this, we're looking at a gap down. We'll see. Same for the DAC. The Russell just continues to get beat up, man. The Russell just continues to get beat up as the VIX falls down below 60 again. Down below 60 and going down to 50 and 91. Overall, good to see. We want to see the VIX in a nice, good area to be trading. The euro dollar getting a nice sell-off. Gold and silver doing some interesting things. I think that gold and silver are primed in an area for longing here in just a little bit. Let's take a closer look. We'll cover gold first. Yeah, let's get to gold right away. All right, so anyways, gold has broken above the initiator. We are looking good. We need gold to close above 16.17 to be going long. This is the contract for difference, the CFD on Awanda. Again, Minx giving us a fresh continuation long signal on today's daily close. Now, Parallax is not there quite yet. Let's get Parallax nice and bullish. Watertar Explosion is also not above the explosion level, but gold, I think, is starting to wind up for a nice push here. That confirmation will come above 16.17, right? So watch gold pretty closely. Silver, on the other hand, I am long on silver. Silver giving us the nice push today. Everything confirming closing above the continuation filter. All cylinders really firing well on silver today. And again, sorry. This is actually going to be simpler if I just do this. Boom. So everything looking good on silver today. Looking to see price up in the 15s, maybe 15.50. And let's talk about the scenario where we are wrong on gold. Again, gold getting that big thing. We have to remember that gold decoupled from traditional markets earlier, and it does not seem like equities have bottomed, but it seems like gold potentially has, which means if Bitcoin is going to stay true to the narrative, that it also has bottomed. And here's the thing, I'm seeing a lot of social media capitulation. All the wannabe influencers, all the wannabe traders, all the wannabe speculators on price who have never really traded for profit, who, have bought and sold Bitcoin, kind of half-assed, but they don't live off of it for a living. They don't understand how to trade, but everybody has an opinion about price or Bitcoin, right? Everybody does. And that's totally fine. Like, I welcome that. You have to have some bank to do any silver futures. You think you gotta have some bank to trade some gold futures, man. Like the minimum contract you could buy is 1. Over $1,000. All right. I mean, granted, there's margin. So really, you only need 1/20th of that, right? A 20x leverage to trade a gold contract. All right, so assuming that we are wrong on gold, again, we've got the accumulation area down below us at 1435, losing below that level of support, then we are going to be looking down around the 12,000s, the lower 1245, 1225 to be more attractive areas. We can see that support coming in all the way down there, and I think kind of anything in between that is going to be really a trap. This whole low volume node area right here, again, we've talked about this before, low volume node areas are train tracks, and price is the train. And if we should end up getting down below these levels of support right here, then I would expect us to train travel all the way down here to this level, which would be our next accumulation level, again, down in the mid to low 12,000s. Again, not looking at that right now, but that is the worst case scenario if we can continue to follow on with price right here. Thank you, Mehmet. Highly appreciated. All right. Similar on gold. Let's look at the worst case scenarios for gold because we're not just moon boys around here. Again, gold relative to silver is, or excuse me, silver relative to gold is, far more undervalued in my opinion, right? I think that gold is more overvalued than it should be. Well, I don't want to say than it should be, but come on, guys. But silver is certainly undervalued, right? So I don't really see the same narrative for a much more pronounced sell-off in silver. But assuming that we do, again, we do have support down here around the 889s, which would be quite tragic to go to at 1444. I think we did just had this nice spring down below this current level of support, right? And if we kind of look overall at this nice area, bottom, spring below that bottom, getting everybody scared out. This is pretty classic Wyckoff accumulation pattern so far right here. Yeah, there's even a nice selling climax right here. Or it's possible that this is the selling climax and this begins the accumulation area for silver. But again, I'm a pretty strong believer that silver is undervalued and again, still adding to long-term silver positions. Oil did some pretty awesome things today. So we'll cover oil today as our commodity. We're going to cover one commodity and one ETF. We're going to talk about the SPY here in just a second. But again, oil having a massive move to the upside. Now, I am short on sugar, right? Now, I'm short on sugar and natural gas as well. But Mr. Bentley crude oil over here getting a big pop back up. And I talked about this, right? I remember talking about this. I drew this red line on the chart and I said I would not be surprised to see a bounce back to this to this level of rejection right here. Not quite an order block. This would be an order block right here. So overall, if we do continue to see some upside, I would look at this order block right here for rejection. So between 33 and 38, that's where I could see price going to before we see price significantly lower. So again, something a little bit like this, right? And then a pretty pronounced sell-off down to around $20, for Brent. Which means, by the way, I talked about this in my market analysis tonight, but if you guys want a pretty good gauge on whether to buy or sell the traditional markets, the stock markets, or any kind of large major stock, just pay attention to gas prices, right? So as you're driving around traveling, if you see, again, or as you're just doing your monthly budget and doing your day-to-day purchases, the price of gasoline goes up relative to, again, the price of oil, but the price of oil tends to go up relative to the overall valuation of the stock market, right? So when the stock market is overvalued, the price of this is a pretty good hack, right? If people around you are complaining about the price of gasoline, the stock market is overvalued. If people around you are saying, man, it is so good to get gas this cheap, can you believe it? Stock market's undervalued. That just tends to be the way it works, guys. Something I've noticed in my life. Something that's easy for you guys to pay attention to at the pump. Right? All right. So, yeah, fake tweet or not fake tweet. Again, I'm not going to be surprised to see oil climb its way back up to $33, $38 here for Brent before a more pronounced sell-off. T-notes are kind of stalling out near the top. Dollar index is, the Dixie is making a little bit of a weak comeback over here. Nothing super impressive, but making an attempt. All right, let's look at the SPY. Now, the SPY had crossed and closed above. All right. So the SPY crossed and closed above the initiator right here, and we didn't really make any kind of, bullish pressure right there, right? We gapped down, we closed back up, we rejected from resistance, big gap to the downside, right? Big gap to the downside. Things had flipped bullish. Again, we kind of got the initial buy signal over here with the SPY first bottoming out. That would have given us a nice up trade right here, about a 6 to 7% trade. And so far, really nothing right now. We don't have any kind of continuation short. We're just flat on the SPY below 228.58. We'll be reshorting the SPY above 259.15. We actually will be going long on the SPY. So again, I'm kind of neutral on the SPY. I don't think that we've bottomed yet, but again, very similar to oil. I think that anybody that doesn't think that the market can't pump from here, like for a month or even a few weeks, I think is silly, right? Like, I want to make sure that nobody knows. Okay? Not any analyst that you talk to knows in which direction the market will go. Period. Okay? The Fed is furiously attempting to buy up as much as it can and inject capital, right? There is essentially, I don't know how you want to put it, this fraudulent purchasing of assets at this point in time and securities, right? The price of securities can certainly be manipulated and inflated, even more so when done by a central bank and the strongest government in the United States, right? So, anybody who says that the stock market is screwed because the economy is screwed, again, we have seen stocks increase in value as common folk on the streets went broke and homeless, right? Pretty common phenomenon. So just because the economy forward for the next 5 years looks totally screwed, which it does, right? We are going into an economic recession, a worldwide recession that is locked in, right? Doesn't mean that the stock market can't pump for several weeks at a time, several months at a time. Just the way that it is. But overall, I don't think that we're in the back the truck up mode for stocks. A small allocation here certainly wouldn't hurt if you are looking to purchase valuable stocks, valuable companies for the long run, because the companies are still valuable, right? Companies are still valuable. We've got a ways to go before we catch up with corporate profits. But again, I think that in the long run, with a healthy economy, we will see these prices again in a positive way on the upside. Okay. Record unemployment. Market goes up. See? So nobody knows, right? But certainly, who doesn't know is the mainstream media. Anything that you read in the papers, right? Anything that you read in the papers. They're always there to tell you what just happened, not to tell you what's going to happen. You have to figure that out for yourself. All right. All right, so we talked about the SPY, we talked about gold, we talked about silver, we talked about Bentley crude oil, we talked about, I think that's good, getting toward the end of the evening. All right, so I'm going to pull up Alex's market meditations because I wanted to share them with you guys. And while I put them up, let's have a brief word from our friends over at Bybit. We'll be right back with Alex's market meditation. Can't catch a break over on BitMEX with all the wicks? Try a better alternative at bybit.crackingcryptocurrency.com and rest easy for a change. That cat gets me every time. All right. So I got it pulled up. So let me see. There we go. All right, I wanted to go over Alex's kind of thoughts about the market and look at a Wyckoff events and phases, right? Now, anyways, now in a Wyckoff distribution schematic, right? You have price moving to the upside. You have a buying climax. It's indicated, right? Well, I guess you guys can't actually see my cursor. Let's see here. Capture cursor is on. I don't know why you guys aren't seeing it, but anyways, oh, there we go. Buying climax right here, followed by a sell-off, automatic retest. And then we have a up thrust above resistance, right? Up thrust above resistance, or phase C, which is optional, the up thrust above. And last place of supply, last place of supply, and then finally price ends up breaking down and descending into these lows. If price does end up breaking down from here, that is almost certainly how it shall happen. And when is the confirmation that this does happen? When we end up breaking the sign of strength, the sign of weakness in this case, phase B, which is when we break the automatic retest. So let's go back and look at price to break this down. All right, so selling climax, we have the sell-off, we have price rising to the upside. In this sense, we would have a buying climax, automatic retest, UT, up thrust, bam. This is our first sign of weakness. Up thrust above, this is the UTAD, right? This is the UTAD. So Alex's confirmation from here, or kind of signs from here, going back to that. If this is the UTAD, we would have several down thrusts. But again, the main point is, do we end up breaking that first sign of weakness, which is a little bit lower than our automatic retest? Go test. Go look. So that level would be right here. Turn magnet mode off. That level would be right here. Okay. So the hypothesis that we slowly see start price creeping its way down here toward this level. And when is kind of that confirmation right here? Here is our significant level of support. That gets broken down below 5,000. Price begins to look very grim, right? There are people that will tell you, well, you don't want to sell if price goes down below there. Yeah, if you don't want to sell, but you would like to short. Okay, there's quite a difference, right? There are multiple ways to accumulate more BTC. And I would say that shorting is better than selling and buying low. But again, that's my opinion. So we'll watch. We'll see. And if you guys would like access to that, it's available to all premium subscribers in our collaborative market analysis that we're going to be putting out every day as frequently as we possibly can, in addition to everything else that we do. All right, with that being said, guys, it is getting close to 10. Let's take a look and see if we have any questions or chart requests that we'll get to. Wayne Arndt is Justin taking chart requests. I'd like to see Ethereum Classic versus the Oozed. All right, so ETC Oozed, certainly. Click on Bitfinex. And this is what I wanted to show you guys. Ethereum Classic 2.0. She's quite a sexy beast, I'm not going to lie. She comes with a lot of options. You can select your entry strategy or exit strategy. You got the time frame on here. You have I've automatically, so it doesn't have the modularity. It's not as modular or granular as the strategy tester that I released for Wadatar Explosion to the premium members, because you cannot select your smoothing type. I've locked it into what I feel is the best smoothing type and allowed you guys to adjust that smoothing from here, 1, 2, or 3. I'm going to be publishing this over the next few days. But this indicator is great. I backtested this from September of 2017 to right now manually on the daily, and over an 80% strike rate. I mean, this thing is fantastic. And just to be very, very clear here, that is going to be with the EL cross and color flip exit strategy, right? Because with the false positive filter on, we have something that ends up being much more of, in my opinion, a more accurate Weiss volume wave. Again, I talked about the Weiss volume wave during this week's mentoring session for our premium members, our weekly mentoring session on Wednesday, when I went over the Weiss volume wave and kind of its downsides. And what I've made here with the smoothed Wadatar Explosion, I think, is far better. But Ethereum Classic oozed. All right, so let's take a gander here. All right, we have everything operating as it should be. Things are actually looking pretty good, man. Let's see here. The initial long signal would have come over here, and we would have gotten out at break even. And now we've got, listen, Wada told us to get back in here. Parallax told us to get back in here. Minx is flirting at going full trending bullish, still overall in a buy territory below the 0 line right here. We're above the initiator. We're above the baseline. Things look pretty good. Volume, listen, we don't really have that kickoff. If we look at Wadatar Explosion, we don't have a rising explosion level. I really would like to see that to let us know that there's going to be oomph, that there's going to be volatility and really an upthrust of volume here. You know, this could just start receding to the downside without an upthrust of volume, and that means the price will just start receding down to the downside. So I'm unclear whether this is going to be the thrust or not, and I'm pretty unclear. I'm pretty kind of, here's the thing. Things that look weak like this, it is unclear whether they are accumulating or redistributing. So in this, guys, what I would like to see is I would like to see an increase of volatility. I would like to see an increase of volume before I would feel confident to consider this asset a buy. So for me, Ethereum Classic, traded against the United States dollar on Bitfinex on the daily time frame, is a neutral market. Thank you for the question, Waynard. I hope you're doing well this evening. Computer Tech Tutorial says, what is that continuation filter? Is it an EMA, a Hall MA, any period length? I could tell you, my friend, but I would have to kill you. When I'm ready to publish the Breaking Bitcoin indicator, I certainly will. And you will be the, I wouldn't say the first person, but you'll probably be like the 37th person to know. Depends on how fast your Twitter notifications are. Boris Bitcoin. Hey, Justin, do I have any thoughts on the SPY closing below the monthly 55 exponential moving average? Also, monthly short signal on Minx on the S&P monthly. Yeah, so I would invite you to make sure to check out my market analysis that I put out this evening. I didn't cover the 55 MIMA, but I did cover the 200 weekly SMA, the 200 WMA. And I think for the exact same reason, right? It's often, sometimes the 200 WMA and the 55 MIMA are going to be fairly interchangeable in how significant and powerful they are, but they often come into the market at roughly the same period of time. And it's not good. It's not good. Yeah, it's certainly not good. Certainly not good. Now, I like to wait for the daily to confirm, right? But for those very long swing trades, that certainly is there. Brett Flowers coming in hot with the Matic USDT. No, man. Don't do it. Don't counter trade me, bro. All right, Matic USDT. Things look pretty good here, right? Same thing with Ethereum Classic. Same thing here with Ethereum Classic USD, right? Volatility, the range is very tight. We are above the initiator. We are above the continuation filter. The time to buy, if one were going to buy, was back over here when we crossed above the continuation filter. Just on today's daily close, Parallax ended up going bullish. I don't feel that Minx is there. Wadatar Explosion is giving a buy signal here, but we do not have that rising explosion level that I really like to see to feel confident that an asset is going to appreciate rapidly to the upside, right? So I would like to see some proof that price is bullish. Now, the price that I would pay for that is not getting at the most optimum price, but what I don't give up is the necessity to accept unnecessary risk. So for me, Matic, very similar to Ethereum Classic USD on the daily, is in a no trade zone for me, right? Now, if we see some volume thrust, if we actually see a nice green candle with a strong close breaking above resistance, then I will most likely take the long trade myself. But as for right now, Matic USDT is in a no trade zone for me. The volume, the volatility is just not there. Which means, by the way, let me also reference this in the realm of Ethereum Classic. Since the volume and volatility is not there, it doesn't matter whether this is an accumulation zone, okay? It's not an attractive place to buy in the zone because we can just see here, if we take all the other Uber gabs off. Okay. So if this is not the area where we're going to break out, because if we do end up breaking out from here, volume and volatility are going to show us that. If this is in fact a range, then in a range, it would behoove you to buy at the bottom of the range. And are we at the bottom of the range? We are at the top. Means not an optimal place to buy if we are in an accumulation range. We either buy the breakout or we scrape the bottom of the range. Well, if that water is showing rising volume, my question is, have you back tested it? And if you have, then you don't need to ask me. You just need to trade your system, brother. You would think that you have a 50-50 chance of making money with crypto or stocks, but there's definitely sorcery involved. Agency, good to see you. Scrape them bottoms, baby. Jose Canetta. I am going to agree with several other individuals. Do I think the SPY will gap down tomorrow? I honestly don't quite know, right? If I look at half of the other indices, they are leading to they're leading to the downside, but some of the indices like the Aussie is leading to the upside. I really don't know what we're going to get tomorrow. I will be watching the futures market as we kind of move into the evening. Wherever it's sitting right around like midnight, which is when I tend to go to bed, is most likely which way the market's going to gap down. It seems like the market, listen, if you put my hand on a platter right now and threaten to cut it off, I would say, yes, the market is going to gap down tomorrow. I'm not sure where it's going to go from there because we've seen the market gap down recently and then continue to move up. So now, Jose. "15-minute time frames are not too difficult to trade, but they're better to automate, right? And again, how do we trade? We trade with an automated system, right? In the 2 latest premium member mentoring sessions, I've gone over lower time frame scalping strategies utilizing minks and several key components to understand to know which direction to trade in on lower time frames. That's half the battle, knowing which direction to trade in, and then just looking for that clean objective signal that is generally more right than wrong, and knowing what areas of the market you can trade lower time frames, right? Now, I don't recommend that people start there. I recommend that people start on the higher time frames because that builds the money management skills and the discipline that you need to do well on any time frame. It's very similar to like learning how to fight, okay? You know, trading is kind of like a combat sport. If you walk into the gym to learn, let's say, Muay Thai kickboxing, right? And your initial instruction is going to be learning the forms, right? Learning how to hold your hands, learning how to block very slowly, very slow at your pace, understanding how to move your body, contract your muscles, exactly where to position yourself. And again, understanding the forms and the technique. You don't just get thrown into the ring. Like, this is a misconception. Just throw them in there, right? I'll figure it out. No, you're going to get yourself beaten up because you have no business being in the ring. You don't know how to fight. It's very similar to trading, right? The 15-minute time frame is like the Colosseum back in Rome. There are swords flying around and blood is splattering the walls and it's all over the place, right? You got candles flying, volatility, stop losses, liquidations getting triggered. Signals, indicators, oscillators flipping left and right. You can't learn. It's very similar to getting thrown in the ring if you don't know anything. You're not gonna win in the Coliseum. You're not gonna stand victorious before the crowd. The crowd is gonna be like, you rock, you rock. No, you're gonna get your self-handed to yourself, right? And you're going to be, beaten up and bloodied and saying, this market is scam, manipulation, BitMEX whales, and just going to go back to hodling and then sell the bottom. So don't do that. Start on the higher time frames because that builds the discipline necessary, right? You learn the technique, you learn the forms, you learn how to position size, learn how to manage your mind, your psychology, your discipline, learn how to manage everything, track your journal, everything that you're going to need to be successful trading any asset on any time frame in any market. You're going to learn first on the weekly and the daily. And only when you've mastered those, you go down. How to learn how to punch first before you can punch somebody. It's my opinion, right? Certainly, again, speaking in the realm of self-defense, I'm a strong advocate of self-defense. Protect yourself, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't punch somebody if you don't know how to punch. I'm just saying your likelihood to get beaten up when you do punch somebody else is much higher if you are not very good at punching. Forex Meister, step 1, buy gun. I mean, that certainly works. I'm a pretty strong advocate of concealed carry. Mr. Ether says, what percentage of confidence do I have between 1 and 100 that I think we hit 4K again? Right now, I would say 25%. I'm 75%, currently 75% that we are going to push up from here. We'll see. If we close, if we really end up closing, that would make paper trading the equivalent of sparring, yes. Listen, if we end up closing now below 64.14, that confidence level goes down to about, that confidence level that we do get down to 4,000 goes up to about 40%. And if we end up closing below 59.20, that goes up closer to 75%. We really kind of need to differentiate ourselves and pull away here, right? Or else we're just going to end up accumulating. And if we end up accumulating, if this is the top of the range and we start going back toward the bottom of the range, then it's very likely that we go very, very close to the bottom of the range, if not to the bottom of the range, right? And the bottom of the range is right around 49.71, right? It's right around 5,000, right? It's not 4,000, right? I don't think this is like scam money. But the bottom of the range is roughly 5,000, right? And the current top of the range is about 7,000. So we've seen this before. We've been here before. Let's take a walk down the hallway back to 18. Right? We've seen this before, guys. We've seen this before. Right? So, only time will tell, guys. Consolidation. Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another exciting episode of Breaking Bitcoin. I am your host, Justin Wise, the lead analyst and senior mentor at KrakenCryptocurrency.com. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Make sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you have not already. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram, where we post exclusive content you will not see anywhere else. And make sure to bang that bell, guys, because otherwise YouTube won't show up in your notification feed. Like, it won't happen. Like, you will not know we go live if you do not click the bell and turn on notifications. We also post content here, Breaking Bitcoin Bits, interviews as well. Make sure, if you have nothing else to do, even if you got stuff to do, this is important, guys, definitely go check out the interview with Gareth Mensah. He is the developer evangelist from Zilliqua, the interview that we just published, as well as our talk with Naomi Brockwell from NBTV. Fantastic interview. If you guys have any questions, comments, and concerns, sarcastic remarks, and or death threats, please leave them in the comment section down below. I'll do my best to get back to you within the next 24 to 48 hours, lest we forget all of our viewers over there on DLive. Let's drop these lemons. Drop them like it is hot. Of course, if you guys are just beginning in your journey toward profitable trading, or if you've been in the market a while and you're just not getting the results that you want, make sure to join us in the community at premium.krakencryptocurrency.com. Looking forward to seeing you for the mentoring sessions and everything that we offer. All the information is there at the website. I want to thank our partners, X42, Inspector Security Coin. Make sure to check them out. Links are in the description down below. Also want to thank Bybit, You guys can register for a $90 sign-up bonus at buybit.krakencryptocurrency.com, and make sure to follow the leaderboard for our 4-week Bitcoin trading competition at buybitboard.krakencryptocurrency.com. Last thing I got to plug, if you guys are interested in traditional markets or even grabbing an SH, SDS, SPXU inverse ETF2 short traditional markets, Webull will drop 2 free stocks on you when you deposit any amount in your account. Links in the description down below, webull.krakencryptocurrency.com. I think that's it. Just drop some big lemons in the chat. Okay, I think that's it. I got everything. All right. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's been an awesome show. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. We'll be back 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And by the way, let me know. Again, just kind of question, right? Let me know in the comment section down below. You'll be able to post there in just a few seconds, right? It's going to help me if you put it in the comment section. My DMs get over flooded. Otherwise, I'd ask you to Discord DM me. Do you guys prefer this time slot, or would you like to see us go back to noon, right? We can certainly try and shift some things around to go back to noon. Or, alternatively, would you guys prefer to see less live streams and more pre-produced content where we go deeper into topics? So basically, if you guys want to see live streams, you guys are going to see the live stream as it exists. We'll cover current price, we'll talk about stuff, we'll answer questions. If you guys want more strategy videos, tutorial breakdowns, indicator research done, current events in Bitcoin broken down, fundamental concepts covered, investment strategies, then I need the time to research and record that content, right? So let me know, guys. Let me know in the comment section down below. Highly value your opinion. My name is Justin Wise for Kraken Cryptocurrency, and I will see you guys next time.